Thank you for joining us for what I think is becoming a really more and more pressing problem that most people have to face one way or the other. Password management. What is our problem? So, the main issue is that most people use the same passwords over and over again, or a variation of those passwords. It might be the year they were born. They might increment it by a single digit every year. And these passwords may be secure as far as you're concerned, but the problem is that if you're using a single password for many sites, and a website gets compromised, if a website like Amazon, like Takealot, like Loot get hacked, and somebody's got pulls down their account listing of all the usernames in terms of their email addresses and all the passwords, then there's a lot of unscrupulous people out there who will put a lot of computing power behind checking every single commercial site that's out there using that combination of username and password. And the problem with computers is that they don't get tired, and they'll just run until they find something. So you might have sort of complex passwords, but if it's the same password everywhere, you're in trouble. So the issue is as well is that just about everything we do today requires some sort of online verification, some sort of service. And so, the solution is really to have a different, random, unique password for every single site, for every service that you have, and for every server that you log on to, for every Wi-Fi access point that you log on to. All of these things require some sort of password for your safety and security. So, the problem is that how do we remember all of them? And that's why we're here. So there are a number of options available to you. One of them is to get a sticky note and put them around the side of your monitor so that, because you're in a secure location, your house probably has a gate, it might have a fence, and your passwords are reasonably secure. But it's not a good look. And if you've got 1,000 sticky notes, you're going to lose them. And if somebody breaks into your house and steals your computer, they're also going to steal your sticky notes. So that's not a good solution. There is the built-in keychain, which is a solution that Apple provides, where we're going to be spending a certain amount of time today. And then there's also some third-party managers, password managers, like 1Password and LastPass. And the whole principle around these pieces of software are that you either generate a random or generate a unique password for every single site that you go to, or you allow the software to generate it for you, and you lock all of those down with a single secure password. And all you have to remember is 1Password. Now, I must have hundreds of passwords, and most of them, I have no idea what those passwords are. I really don't know. But I do know the master password that unlocks my keychain. I know the master password. I use a piece of software called 1Password. We're going to be looking at 1Password and another piece of software called LastPass. So let's look at the very first setup. When you set up your computer, you're typically prompted for a password. And that password is the master password for your keychain. And the keychain on your Mac is where all of your passwords are stored, should you allow it to do that. The first thing I'm going to do is look at user accounts, because that's the first password you're ever going to need for your computer. So let's go to System Preferences. And let's go to Users and Groups. Now, on my computer, I have my own personal account. I've got another account on this machine for training, and I've also set up a guest account. Well, I actually haven't turned it on yet. So I'm going to create a new account, and I click on the lock, and what does it ask me for? It asks me for my password. Now, my password doesn't have lots of funny characters on, but it's really long. I tend to use a phrase, so let me just do this. And my fingers remember it really well these days. So now I've unlocked this, and some people say, you take existing words and you change the letters to numbers and so on. Believe me, these computers know how to substitute the letter 4 for the letter A, the letter 3 for the letter E, a 0 for an E. It's not clever. It doesn't do much for you. So I'm going to create a new account on this. Let's just call this test account. It makes the short name. Now it's asking me for a password. And almost every password field, whenever you create a password in on your Mac, has this little key next to it. And if I click on the key, it opens up the password assistant. Now, the password assistant will generate passwords for me. That's what it's there for. And I can generate a number of different types of passwords. So number one, I can create my own password. I just type something in. So if I just type in Fred was here, it's not a particularly strong password. Okay. But then I can also say, well, okay, the website that I'm on says I've got to have a password that has letters and numbers. Okay, we'll choose letters and numbers, and it generates a random password for me. It might only require 10 digits, so I can click on here and give more suggestions, and there's another 10-digit password. And if I don't like that, there's a whole bunch of other ones that I can select. I can copy them, paste them into, and you can see over here, it's auto-filling it. So if I choose that password, it's changing it. Let's make the length 28 characters long. Let's regenerate the password. And now you see I've got a super, super long password, which I will never, ever remember, but it can be saved. It can be saved and remembered. And you can see over here, this is a super, super long password. We've got numbers only. We've got random. And this includes sort of special characters, uppercase, lowercase. And there's something called FIPS 181 compliant, which gives you stuff. Whoa, that's really fruity. It gives you some passwords which are supposed to be pronounceable. But honestly, who cares? Because if the computer is going to enter it for you, that's kind of what it is, isn't important. However, this particular password is the master password that you're using to unlock your computer and any other passwords that you've set up on this computer. So you need to have something that you can keep, remember, put it in a safe somewhere. This is the one password that you have to remember. So I'm not going to make that account. I just wanted to show you for the first time the password assistant if you've never seen it before. So we know that each computer has a user and it has an account associated with it. So I've got another computer on my network. If I click on it, you'll see it's connecting. If I click Connect As, it should pop up a login dialog box. There we go. And I'm just going to skip that button at the moment, but you see over here, it's auto-filled my password. Now, the reason it's auto-filled the account for home ents and filled in a password is I checked this remember password button. And this now gets saved and it auto-populates it. Now, it's not really that safe to do that sort of thing, but because when I walk away from my computer, I always lock it. There's no way anybody can get access to this unless they know the master password for my computer. So once again, the master password for your computer needs to be a good one. It needs to be one that you can access, and then it will unlock everything else. So I'm just going to click Connect here, and this should connect me to that computer. Right? While it's connecting, where is this stored? Well, this is stored in something called the keychain. And the way to get to that keychain, my machine might be updating itself. It's taking a little while, but that's not so important. So if I open the keychain, you'll see there's an app called Keychain Access. And this is the place where all of my passwords are stored that I've told it to remember. So let's examine this for a few minutes. So in the Keychain Access, oh, by the way, yours will probably look a little bit different from mine because I live dangerously. I've upgraded to Big Sur, so you'll see that if you open up the Keychain Access on your machine, things will be in slightly different places. So my login keychain contains all the information that is attached to my master account, the account that I use to log in with. I can see, Tim, I see you there. You've probably sent me an email that has a certificate to it that's attached to it. So the system keychain, over here, we're looking at everything. But if I want to look at passwords, here are all the passwords. So there's the password to the education time capsule. You can see that there's a base station password. There's a disk password. There's application passwords. There's decryption passwords. And there's the password for my remote machine, which is still having a problem with trying to log in. Don't know why. It's not a big deal at the moment. So there's my password for that machine. I can create secure notes, which I'll show you shortly. I don't have any. There's some certificates, which I may have. These are keys that are sent, and I'll explain these in a little bit more detail, but not too much. So for example, all the messages that you send with iMessages are encrypted end to end. Nobody can access any, even if they get the information, somebody puts a network sniffer on the cable that runs between me and Angelo, for example, they can download this data, but it's encrypted, and it's encrypted with keys, which are generated by certificates. Suffice to say, it just scrambles all the information. My machine will scramble the information, and Angelo's will unscramble it, unbeknownst to me, but it's all encrypted on the way. And there are certificates that are downloaded to my machine. So for example, I get statements from Nedbank, and if I click on this one with an X through it and I click info, you'll see that this particular one is expired. It expired on the 19th of May, 2019, but they've obviously sent me a subsequent one that was with an attachment, no doubt. And if I click on here, you'll see here is a Nedbank, this is from Nedbank, and the certificate is valid. So I can actually go in there and delete this, that particular statement. Okay, so what if I want to find the password of a server that I've forgotten, and I've told my machine to remember it? So if I click all items over here and I type in pretend.co, you'll see that I've got a bunch of services. I've got a network server. I've got an airport which uses pretend.co, and I've got a number of websites that sit on the pretend.co server, and I've got a server with pretend.co. So here's 3 accounts on there, and I've forgotten that password. So how do I access it? I double click on it, and it gives me a sheet with web server. It's a web form. The account is trainer. The address is such and such. And I could type comments if I want to, but it's not showing me the password. So if I click show password, it asks me for my password. Which password is it going to ask me for? It's asking for the master password that I use to log into this computer, hence the login keychain. So let me type that password in again. This is not a secret password. And there you can see that's the password for that account. If I go to a different account, let's take admin. It's a different account. It's on that machine. And I type show the password. There's the password for that particular account. So all of these things are stored in here. So if you forget your passwords, no big deal. As long as you know the password to log onto your machine, and I'm pretty sure you know the password to log onto your machine, then you'll be able to access all the passwords that you've told your computer to store. As well as the login keychain, we've got the iCloud keychain. Now, when we upgraded to, I think it was around about Mojave, Apple introduced the iCloud keychain, and you were prompted to say, do you want to turn on iCloud keychain when you accessed your iCloud? And what this did was it basically took your passwords, encrypted them, and stores them on Apple's servers so that you can access them from whatever device you're on. And the iCloud keychain keeps things like my airport passwords. You can see there's a lot of networks that I've connected to over the years, application passwords. And if I go down further, you'll see internet passwords. So there's my Gmail passwords. I'm not going to open those up and show you. Various accounts that I've got online. And these passwords are all in there. And my computer or my iPad or my iPhone will prompt me to auto enter them, irrespective of what device I'm on. Okay, when my iPad is unlocked, whether it's with my my glance because I have the Face ID turned on, or a phone which has Touch ID, I've already done the equivalent of logging in with my own personal password on my computer. So all of this is unlocked for me. We also have a couple of other keychains like the system keychains, and this is information that your computer uses to do things, nothing to do with you. And these are the certificates around which all of these encryptions and securities are based on and are encrypted with. So, you know, there's, if you remember what was his name? Shuttleworth, Mark Shuttleworth, came up with an encryption algorithm, set up a company called Thought. And if we type in Thought over here, you'll see the Thought keychains. Now, all of these come bundled with your computer. They're not something that you have to install. And if I do an info on this, you'll see this will expire, 2037. So these are all certificates that I might use, or Apple might use, to secure my website. And the communication that you saw in iMessage between Angelo's machine and my machine is encrypted and secured through one of these certificates. So just an overview of this, just to give you an idea of how this works. So if I wanted to add a new item to my keychain, every time I go to a website and type in a username and password, I'm prompted to save it. This is where it's saved. If I wanted to have other information that wasn't necessarily websites, let's say, for example, I wanted to store my password numbers. I wanted to store my social security numbers. I wanted to store my ID numbers in a secure place that was locked down. I can do that here, and I can add it into the login keychain, or I could make a new keychain. And I could, let's make a new keychain. I'll just call this Alan's, and I'll create it. And I'll just give it a very simple, let's just see. I'm going to use a terrible password called password, but that key that I showed you previously, it's over here to help me. And I'm only going to do this one because I'm going to delete it in a second. So there's my own personal keychain. There's nothing inside there. So now I want to create an item that maybe stores my debit card's PIN. So I can go over there, okay, give me a new secure note item, for example, and now I can make a little note, and I can say credit card PINs and CVVs. Right, and I'll say, okay, Nedbank is 1234, and ABSA is 4321, 4321. And I can add that, and now there's my credit card and PIN CVV. If I double click on it to open it, I don't see anything. But if I click Show Note, it prompts me for that keychain password. So if I type in that password and hit Return, there's my content. So if you're looking for a secure place to lock down information that's personal, that you don't want anybody to access, if somebody steals your computer and somehow manages to hack into the account, you've now actually set up a different keychain that doesn't use your login keychain password, which is the password for your computer. There's another keychain, and they have no access to that unless they know what that password is. Obviously, you need to remember what that password is. So that's how we kind of can manually add passwords and notes to your keychain. I want to look at the iCloud keychain for a few minutes because this will store website passwords and autofill them for you. I'm not sure if you've gone to a online purchasing portal where you've been asked to store your credit card details, and Safari will pop up and say, do you want me to store these credit card details for you? They will be stored inside your iCloud keychain. Okay. I've shown you Pretend Co on this machine. Let's just go to Pretend Co one more time. And what I'm going to do, just to show you how iCloud will synchronize this across all my devices, I'm going to go to my iPad. There we go, there's my iPad, and we're in settings on my iPad. And if I go down to passwords, it won't unlock unless I do, let's see, my Face ID, let's try it again. My face is a bit too far away. There we go, it's unlocked. And here are all my passwords. So if I do a search for Pretend Co, there's Pretend Co, and if I go to trainer, you can see password. If I go to admin, there's the password, and I can only access it. You see there was a 7-second level of defense. If I didn't have Face ID turned on, if I didn't have Touch ID turned on, it would have prompted me for the password for my iPad, and there is my admin password. It tells me this is a reused password, and it gives me the option to change the password and go to the website and change the password on the website. So just a quick demonstration of how iCloud passwords are synchronized across all of your devices. Okay, so let's see what that looks like in practice. I'm going to go to Safari, and I'm going to go to Jamf School. Now, let me just remove this over here. When I come to Jamf School, sorry, I was demoing this earlier, I was practicing this earlier. My password has been saved in my iCloud keychain, and it's saying, well, you know what, I can log you in over here. I've got this from my keychain, and I'll use your Touch ID to unlock it. But I've got more than one Jamf password. So if I click over here, oh, all my passwords are locked. Okay. I could type in the password from my computer, but I've got a MacBook with Touch ID installed. So I'm just going to touch it. And now it's unlocked it all. There's Jamf School. And if I click on that, I can use that. So there's Jamf School. If I click on that, fill it, it auto fills that. And now I can sign into Jamf School. There we go. I'm logged in, and I'll just go to the DigiCape instance of Jamf School. So I'm now logged into this service over here. So let's see what that looks like inside Safari. I'm going to go to my preferences, and you'll see over here, there's a tab inside my preferences, which lets me store all of my passwords. So once again, it's locked. If somebody's browsing around on my computer and they want to have a look at my passwords, they can't get into them easily enough. So I'll autofill it. And here are all the passwords. If I simply click on one of these, and let's just type Jamf, so hopefully it won't reveal it. If I just have to click on one of these, it'll reveal all of my passwords. I can add them, I can remove them. I'm not going to click on any of these because these are secure passwords that I need to keep secure. But this is how I find and all of the passwords that I need to access my websites. So that's really pretty much what most of Keychain will do. It's a wonderful piece of software. It's come a long, long way, where really all it remembered was your passwords and secure notes and kept all the certificates. But there's one thing that differentiates Keychain from the third-party commercial products. The third-party commercial products will allow you to set up multi-user accounts. So you can set up a family account, for example, so that you can share your passwords with your family. Or you can set up a Teams account so you can share passwords with your teams. And I'll show you this in a second. So just before I dive into this, I'm just going to log out of this. Now, the third-party software that I use is 1Password. And if I right-click on this field, you see how 1Password comes up over here? 1Password recognizes password fields as well and will autofill for me, and will also generate passwords for me. So we'll look at this in a second. So let me just go to 1Password. I'm just going to switch to a demo vault. Here we go. So this is 1Password. And as I said, the signature features of the commercial products are it allows you to create shared vaults. So if you have a look over here, this is a demo vault. A vault would be the equivalent of a keychain in password. And if I click down here, you'll see I have a private vault, which is my own personal vault, a demo vault that I set up for this demo, because honestly, I don't want to reveal all of my passwords over here. There's a shared one, and this is one that's shared with all the other directors at DigiCape. So if I get sick or become incapacitated, any passwords that I am responsible for in the business, they've got access to them, and vice versa. You know, if the bank account login, the financial director gets compromised somehow and I need to log into the bank, it's all over there. Obviously, this has to be a trusted environment. So let's have a look at some of the differences with 1Password. Another signature feature is that it has templates for a whole variety of different sorts of services. So you can set up a credit card, an identity, passwords. You can save documents in there. So if you've got wills or anything that's personal that you want to keep in one secure location, you can upload the files as FTPs and you can secure them under your password. Driver's licenses, take a photograph of your driver's license, fill in all the details. But you can also save all of your licenses, for example, for your software. So if I go to my applications folder over here, I want to keep the key for my 1Password. I just drag this into the side. It knows that it's a piece of software. I click on it now, and it knows it's 1Password version 7. It's modified here, but if I click edit, here's my license key. So if I need to remember what the key is that validates me as a proper user, I can put all sorts of information in here. I can customize it when I built it. If I've got an invoice, I can add a file, I can drop it inside here. So I can keep all of the information that's relevant to 1Password that I might need if I get a new computer and I need to enter my credentials in there, or if I want to run an update and I can't remember what the number is, or an invoice I need to send to people. This is all really, really quite simple and quite easy to do. If I want to add, let's say, credit card information, there's my credit card holder name. They've got pre-populated for the type of card. And once this is filled in, if I'm in a field that has credit card details on a web browser, I right-click, choose 1Password. It gives me a list of all my credit cards and it'll auto-fill it for me. So it speeds up the process. I don't have to pull out my credit card, try and read those embossed details. It's had all the paint stripped off of it because it's been in my pocket, and so on. So this is very, very useful to do. Other functionality that you've got with these third-party pieces of software is that you get a little menu option over here. So if I look at, say, if I search for Fred, which is my Fred Blogs login, I can get access to my details over here. If I know my username and I just want to type it in, this will copy and fill it for me, but I can say, show it in large type. There's the password that it generated, and now I can type that in from across the room should I need to do that. It also, if I go to Safari, will install a Safari extension over here when I'm in the web browser, and there are extensions for Safari, for Firefox, for Chrome. So I can access, once again, all of the usernames and passwords that I need to have access to when I'm working on the web. The other thing that I quite like about this is it works with if you use tags, I haven't got any tags over here. Let's just go back to here. It aligns itself. There's a piece of software called Watchtower, which looks out for compromised websites. Now, don't bother about saving that. At the moment, because I'm in the demo vault, I don't have any websites in there, but any websites that have had their data compromised, they've been hacked, or there's no shortage of these incidents that have been going on. It will tell you what website has been hacked, and you can click on it. It'll take you to that website and prompt you to change your password, which 1Password will update automatically in the background. You can pull these into categories, so you can filter them. There's the logins. Credit cards would be filtered by credit cards. So you've got some nice the ability to sort and filter them. And finally, it has this concept of tags. So if I go to Joe Blogs over here and I edit it, you can see I've got a tag called Apple Watch. Now, if you have a tag called Apple Watch, 1Password also has a watch app. And you can say there's about 8 passwords that I want to keep on my watch. Because my watch is always attached to my wrist, it knows that it's me. And passwords for things like the electricity meter, my pins, my CVV numbers, they're there. And if I'm standing in a queue and I need to get a CVV number, I just tap my watch and they're all there. So that's 1Password. And the thing about 1Password is it used to be a purchasable item, but it's now a subscription. So you really have to choose whether the value that you get out of this is worth spending the money for, frankly. The other one that I just wanted to mention to you guys, because you probably are interested in passwords, otherwise you wouldn't be here, is at the same time that I went with 1Password, a company called LastPass came up. This is a very highly regarded piece of software. It's web-based for your Mac, but it's also has an iOS and an Apple Watch application, so it's ubiquitous as well. But the nice thing about LastPass is that they do have a free service. So if you wanted the free service, well, let's do this. I'm just going to sign up for this to show you how you could use 1Password or get Safari to store your passwords automatically. So I'm going to say get LastPass free. Okay. So these are the features that you get with LastPass free. You get a secure vault like 1Password. You can access it on all your devices. You can share it with yourself. It saves and fills in password. It has a password generator, just like you saw with the keychain. And I didn't show you the password generator on 1Password, but it's the same. You can have secure notes. You can improve your password security by having them audited. Multi-factor authentication if you want to get one-time PINs sent to you, and an authenticator app. And then the premium features are one-to-many sharing, emergency access, etc., etc. So let's set up this account. I'm going to say, I'm going to send it to my Gmail account. And if I click on here, Safari automatically prompts me for a very strong password. And you can see that this is probably something on the order of 16 or 18 characters or so. So this meets all their requirements. It's pretty darn strong. It's confirmed it. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say use that strong password. By clicking use that strong password, that's now saved in my Safari browser, and it's now automatically on all my devices. So let's sign up, see what it looks like. And here's my LastPass. If I install LastPass, it's going to install an extension just like Safari. And now any websites, here we go, there's a bunch of extensions and so on. And yeah, so it's nice. It's actually taking me to the App Store. And I've just created a LastPass account. If this is important to you, you can play with LastPass. So really, that's pretty much chapter and verse on password management for your device. We've covered the ability to manually create and store a password inside your keychain, or use some third-party applications to fill in, autofill, store, access your private information and access it whenever you want to and wherever you want to. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and throw it open to questions. Kobus, you've got a question for me.
Alan, yes. For my sins, I sometimes use Windows. I have a laptop for a software program which is not available on Mac as yet.
Mm-hmm.
But on that PC, I have installed the link to iCloud and to my photographs on iCloud. Would I be able to access from my PC into iCloud the passwords with the keychain, which is linked?
The iCloud keychain. Kobus, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that, and I would hesitate to guess. So I will check it up. My instinct says no. But if you are using something like a commercial package like 1Password,
yeah.
1Password does have a Windows version. So it's not mutually exclusive.
And then just a second one, Alan, whilst I have the floor. With the ESCOM power interruptions, does one have the passwords on one's computer to open up certain programs that one may be using whilst there's a power failure?
So I'm not with you, because if your machine is, if you have a power failure, you can't use your machine unless it's on battery.
It's on battery, but there might be some, it's on battery, but there might be some of the software that one runs on one's laptop that may require a password, which is
Well, you saw if the password for the software is stored on your keychain,
okay,
then you go to the keychain, you do a search for the app, you type in your master password, and it will give you that password.
Okay, so a keychain is automatically on one's Mac and also in the keychain in iCloud.
Yes, if you turn on iCloud keychain.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely.
A question for Angela. Thanks, Angela. I was going to ask the question about notes, because what I've foolishly done is I've photographed all my cards and front and back and stored them in notes, because I really quite enjoyed the notes after the training we had, but realized that it's really open to inquiry. So when you talk about security there, are you talking about the lock option in notes, so I could lock it and password it? Is that what you were saying in your chat?
Yes. Before secure notes came out on the note side, it was available inside of Keychain initially.
Okay.
The only difference was that the secure notes on the Keychain side isn't cloud based. So if you put the lock on notes and you make it a secured note, then of course that is cloud based, so you can access it from any of your devices. Also, if you lose your device, then of course you've got access to any of your other devices that's linked onto iCloud. So yeah,
100% right. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Heidi, you had the question about does it work the same on Chrome and Safari? Are you talking about the 1Password extensions and the LastPass extensions?
So yeah, I mean, you were demonstrating purely from Safari. So I was just wondering, in terms of the iCloud keychain and the Mac keychain, does that work well with Chrome as well?
Well, Chrome has its own storage, Google being a cloud-based service. So I don't think the iCloud keychain is inserted into the Chrome infrastructure, but Chrome has its own save your password options. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's exactly what you said, Alan. It's Safari works with iCloud, and Chrome works with it does store the passwords, but if you want to save it as like a cloud based like iCloud, then you have to sign into your Chrome with your Google account, and then it does the saving part. So if you've got Chrome on your iPad and your iPhone, then those passwords that you saved in your Chrome on your Mac, if you signed in, will also reflect on your devices. Same as iCloud concept, basically.
Yeah. And Firefox does the same.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Hi.
Andre?
Okay.
Yes, hello. A lot of this is just going to pass me like that. If I start with either 1Password or LastPass, and I need to replace existing passwords, for example, important things like banking, how do I do that? I go into my online bank and delete the old passwords and then get this thing to access it?
They're all pretty good about it. So for example, when I showed you, if you go into Safari and you create a new account, it'll prompt you for a password. But if you wanted to use 1Password, for example, you'd use the pop-down menu and you'd use 1Password. Once you'd filled in that account, 1Password would pop up and say, do you want me to save this for you? If that's the first time you've done it. Then if you go back in 6 months later and you decide you want to update your passwords, you go into that service, you change your password. As soon as you change your password, 1Password should pop up and say, this is a different password. Would you like me to update the password inside your 1Password database? And you just say, yes, please, and you're good to go. So we'll catch up with you next week. We hope you all have a wonderful weekend and look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Take care all.
Bye.
Bye.